My name is Andrea Palmer. As you said, I lead Publicis Health Media, or PHM. We are one of the leading health media agencies in the U.S. We do have a global footprint and a growing global footprint, which is exciting. And we work with a lot of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies and adjacent health and wellness organizations worldwide to advise and deliver on media strategies and execution and work with the marketplace on being at the forefront of media.
So welcome to Next Marketing with AJ Season 2, where we foster healthcare innovation with one idea at a time. Today on my show, I have Andrea Palmer, who does not need any introduction. She leads Publicis Health Media and who has been doing amazing work in the world of healthcare media and advertising. Welcome, Andrea, to the show. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I think in this episode, we want to talk about what's the real truth behind AI and focusing around healthcare marketing, healthcare media on can it really be used, right? Is it being used in our category, which is regulated, although it produces a lot of data, but category is kind of regulated and restricted. So yeah, we'll talk around that subject, but what do you think?
First of all, I think absolutely it can be used. Absolutely it is being used. And I would say at this time last year, we were in this theoretical world. This time last year, if you had asked me this question, I would have said, and I did say at HealthFront last year, I sort of said, we're excited and optimistic. And I think what's really cool is in 1 year, we've moved from that optimistic theory to really practical use cases in 1 year. I always also tell these stories around how I started looking. I was asked to review a lot of kind of new AI-driven platforms or opportunities by different suppliers who are looking to launch AI-specific things into the space. And a year ago, they were a little concerning, if we're being honest. There was some things that were maybe not ideal from a credibility perspective. But today, what's coming out, I think, is really fascinating. I think also we're seeing it being used operationally. I think we all expected that to be the first place that it was applied to our business, is operationally, how it can help us kind of take some of the human error out or some of the human touch out or help streamline certain tasks and functions to free up bandwidth and time for more human high value tasks.
You're on a large enterprise, right? And I know PHM has been leading usage and adoption of AI internally and with the clients, right, as well. How to bring about a change, right, at an organization level, and from where to start?
Yeah. I mean, we have a dedicated team at Publicis that is really focused on bringing the substantial investment we've made as a group, as a company in AI. We were very early. I would say that Publicis was first and early and consistent in putting that investment into AI because we knew it was going to be the future. I mean, think back several years to Marcel. Marcel was the first kind of Artur's vision of how AI was going to apply to our own internal operations in terms of how we were going to use AI to connect 100,000 employees worldwide. And that came to life, and that is something that's core to the way we work. AI has been applied to our internal operating infrastructure, our OS, our operating system that connects everything that we do as technicians and tacticians to how we plan, to how we tie data together, to how we activate, to how we report, and making sure everything operates under that single operating system. So that's all powered by AI. I think what we're also seeing is how AI is being applied to make in this industry what I've been so excited to see the quick progression and also the roadmap for the next 6 months in terms of how we can actually use AI to get out of the world of just using data as a look back and as a historical predictor of the future, right? So in our business, we talk so much about segmentation and using historical data as a predictor of the future, which is a great practice. What AI does is I think it turns that practice into being more dynamic and more predictive in terms of using that historical data, but also real data and real signals that are coming from current behaviors and being responsive to what humans are doing in their kind of day-to-day journeys to understand not only, who they look like or whether or not they might be right to be in a segment, but actually where they might be in a segment on a journey. And that, I think, can only really be done from AI, which I think is the promise, right? It's going from, using historical data to build segmentation to making segmentation more dynamic and real life. And that becomes predictive of what's possible in the future and all that stuff.
Interesting. So I think you work with like most of the large clients. Which clients have you seen as more progressive ones who adopted this early? If you could name, otherwise it's okay, you can talk about them.
Yeah, I'm not going to name any individual clients, but I will say every client is on a journey, which actually is incredible. So I work with clients of every size and scale. We work with clients that are in the biotech space that have just a few products that are very specialized, to clients that have enormous enterprise portfolios that cover multiple therapeutic areas. And I don't think I have a client today that isn't on their own AI journey.
And what kind of challenges do you see? Right? I know different large organizations have different challenges. Relatively smaller ones are more agile. And
it's interesting that you ask that. I see the first big challenge that I see consistently is the crossover of stakeholders, because AI theoretically applies to so many different things. Like it's horizontal, it's vertical, it applies to more than one task, it applies to more than one function, it applies to more than one job. So there are inevitably many stakeholders that have to get aligned, and then getting it past the idea, getting it past the concept or the potential and actually putting it into practice. So now we know what we want to use it for. What needs to happen? What needs to be true? What barriers exist? How do we remove organizational barriers? What do we have in-house? What do we need to buy? What should we borrow? What should we partner in? Because there is a vast spectrum of, from sole proprietorship and sole ownership to partnership to acquisition. So I think, the sheer volume of stakeholders and decision makers and decisions that have to be made, coupled with all of those different potential ways of execution, to me has so far shown to be one of the biggest challenges. So it takes a lot of, focus and organization to get that right.
have you seen the regulatory and legal teams getting involved as well?
They have an accountability for everything, so they've got to get involved. I think, though, we've seen AI use cases that actually help the regulatory and legal process, which is exciting and has been so far pretty well received by regulatory and legal, which to help kind of eliminate some of the things that previously were on like human errors that might be required to be caught by a human on the medical and legal and regulatory boards at the client. So when you're thinking about things like asset creation, asset generation, asset approval, there's a lot of room for teeny tiny errors to be caught in a MedReg review process, and using AI can actually help streamline that process so they're a lot closer to perfect by the time it actually gets to the human.
I think since last 15, 20 years, right, we used to hear about Omnichannel, right? Mm-hmm. And the conversation is still there.
Yeah.
I think every brand has been on a journey, right? Some have done more than the other, but that challenge still remains. Do you see the future of AI similar? Like if we are talking about 10 years, 15 years down the line, or do you think the adoption would be like much faster now?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think a lot of the challenges with Omnichannel over the years has been the crossover of stakeholders and owners, right? So true Omnichannel connects, everything from promotions and activity in media to Salesforce activity to other brand activity. Like true omnichannel should connect every communications touch point across the spectrum that a brand puts out into the ecosystem, right? However, rarely is there a single owner for all those things. So you can maybe connect the data, and you can maybe connect the insights, and you can maybe connect timing, but there are it's really hard to be a truly connected ecosystem that would deliver on the ultimate vision of omnichannel. We do it, people do it. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it is one of those things that also is on a journey and also is on a spectrum and also exists in many different forms. I think AI is going to have similar challenges. As I said, one of the things that I am seeing is the multitude of stakeholders and accountable parties. So that's what we're seeing. At least we're seeing a lot of promise in terms of how AI can help, simplify and streamline some of the handoffs and some of the dependencies between the different stakeholders and groups, which I think is the promise, right?
Yeah, no, interesting. And I think going back to omni-channel journey from a single channel to multi-channel to maybe omni-channel, and now I hear a lot of opti-channel, right? So kind of an optimized omni-channel experience for maybe which includes AI. And I think with one of the guests I was talking about, every physician's omni-channel journey is separate.
Yeah.
Right? And it can only be connected using AI. There is no other way to connect each individual audience's journey.
Yeah. I heard an interesting statement yesterday that I think is so true. And that is, we spend a lot of time with brand marketers, especially on the pharma side, developing segmentation and target lists with segmentation inside of them. And this is especially true in some of the more specialty categories like an oncology or really any specialty. But oftentimes an individual physician is a segment of one, right? So the importance of the physician journey and each individual physician's experience, both the patient base that they treat, the experience that they have with different products, their receptivity, their media diet, their receptivity to marketing messaging at all. I've read a lot of different stats in terms of the sheer volume of marketing messages that any individual physician is getting from the many, many brands that are in service of all of the same patients, right? So it could be anywhere from 1,000 different marketing messages in a month, right? And that's an exceptional volume of marketing messages. So every single physician's journey and where they are in that journey in order to be resonant with that physician is really important to be able to be responsive to not only who they are, who they have been that makes them eligible or possible to market to, or an ideal person to market to, but AI can help us understand where they are in that journey so that we can be relevant and specific to that moment in time.
A lot of research, a lot of work is done on segmentation and creating these journeys, right? And brands do invest a lot, and there are online research, offline research, like a lot of inputs. In my agency days also, we used to do a lot of work in that, and some amazing journeys like that fills the full wall was done. But when it was about translating that into action, right? Translating that into a media plan or delivering media, I think there it used to kind of fall a little flat. Have you seen those, like, or how, since you're leading a media enterprise, how have you addressed those challenges?
Yeah, you're so right. It's like you spend all this time building out this beautiful, informative audience strategy where you've uncovered and unlocked all these great insights about the journeys that people go through and physicians and patients alike, right? We have the data available to understand so much about the depth of knowledge that we can gain about, the ebbs and flows of a journey, whether it be individual or segment-based journey. And then the media plan, comes up, and sometimes it can sort of look like, well, we're going to do television, and we're going to do digital, and we're going to run on these websites, and we're going to do programmatic, and our programmatic will be segment based, and that's going to be great. But that is a very blunt force way to address a very nuanced and intricate journey. So I think what we've started to see over the last couple of years is a much more purpose-driven media strategy that does align more with behavior. And we call a lot of that like signal-based media. I think what we're starting to see is the receptivity to channels like that from our clients be elevated, which is a really positive thing. We're also seeing the ability to do things in those channels to be more realistic and less blunt force. And we're seeing, most importantly, the impact of aligning with some of those maybe unexpected territories, and how we do that. And again, AI is going to continue to speed up the way that we can unearth those places and those knowledge and those insights, and make those decisions on the fly. So I think AI is enabling the best possible decision making with the most relevant and up to date information, which is practically a huge service, in addition to a marketing service, right? In addition to the ability to do our jobs better as marketers. That's, for the physician community, what an amazing service to use AI as a tool of learning.
I take your rapid fire as a cue to move to the next segment, which is our rapid fire round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
AI, is it a friend or a foe to creativity?
Absolutely a friend.
One healthcare buzzword you wish would go away?
Omnichannel.
It should. I'm with you on that. A healthcare brand that's using AI really, really well right now.
That's a tough one. I would say, honestly, some of the the non-pharma platforms, like the e-prescribing platforms, like the Hims and the Hers and the Rose and the New Rixes, I think those are doing a really nice job of using AI.
Okay. First thing you do when you want an inspiration?
I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I specifically listen to a lot of podcasts outside of healthcare and on like adjacent topics to media, but the business side of media and entertainment and stuff like that.
Your dream healthcare innovation would include?
One thing I've been continually impressed with that's been a semi-recent innovation is like the concierge medicine space and bringing together Amazon, bringing together the pharmacy and One Medical and things like that. I think the retailization of health is one of the most fascinating topics, and as a consumer, that's what I think is probably the most exciting is how whether it's AI or acquisitions or just innovation in the industry as a whole, I think making the health system easier to navigate and an innovation that can help actually remove some of the friction from care access is what I'm most excited about.
Great. So amazing answer. So you have definitely earned your AI prize.
Okay.
Can we have
an AI prize?
AI
Ooh,
prize.
Okay.
This is AI.
AI created?
Human created using AI.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Right. So let's move to the next part. That's the most interesting part, where the guest becomes the host.
Oh, okay.
And the host becomes the guest.
Oh, okay,
right?
good.
So now it is the next marketing with Andrea.
Okay. All right. So it's 2025 now. If we're sitting here in 2030, which is 5 years, which is practically a lifetime in AI, right? If it's changed this much in 1 year, think about 5 years down the line, what has happened and what are we talking about? What's table stakes for AI?
I think as consumers, we may not even have to type, right? It'll be more neurological on how it works. You are thinking and you're getting those responses, right? And if I am thinking about applications in healthcare marketing, right? I think the entire journey would become like completely synchronous and personalized to an individual level, right? I think using the data that you mentioned, I think there'll be more than 100,000 data points from where we are now for each individual, and it'll be auto-segmented. The content would be created on its own. Let's move to the next section, and so it's our attempt to build a playbook for young marketers. Again, not to scare them about what can happen with AI in next 5 years, but how can they start using AI in the way they work, right? They could work in any agency. The resources could be limited. Every agency may not be as advanced as the others, right? So what are those things they could start doing when they're thinking about any brand strategy or thinking about activating or measuring any campaign outcome?
So I might answer that a little differently. I think what's going to make young marketers successful is actually not immediately jumping to AI. I still believe that there is a need for people coming into this industry to understand all of the tasks and functions of what it is that they're doing from a very foundational business level, understand why they're doing it, understand the data behind the AI, understand the patient behind the data behind the AI, like really understand the business and the functions. AI enables us to do much faster, better, smarter, more strategic work that's going to get to better results much faster, which I think is a brilliant way to deliver better results for clients. But I still think as practitioners coming into the marketing world, it would be a mistake not to learn the actual foundational principles of what it is that you do. If you didn't have AI, what if someone turned off AI? You should still know how to do the job, right? Because who knows, in this world, at some point in time, it could get taken away from us.
Thank you so much again for coming and for your wonderful insights.
Thank you.
I think we have the last section now, which is, I think we're creating a health leaders wall.
Okay.
So Matt, could you help us take a picture?
Okay.
And then we would like you to sign that picture, which will go on the wall.
Okay, great.